is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Well, you couldn't ask for a more picture-perfect night for baseball. We welcome you to downtown Cincinnati. Crowd rolling into Great American Ballpark. Reds back in town for the next 3 days, taking on their division rivals, the Milwaukee Brewers. And hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day and our entire crew. Tom Brenneman, delighted to have you with us on this Monday night from downtown Cincinnati. Now, look, neither one of these teams will be reaching the postseason this year, but they might have something to say, should have something to say about who might be in and who might be out.
Well, in fact, they've already had something to say about that with the way they played after the All-Star break. You can see the Milwaukee Brewers the last 11 ball games been playing very good baseball. They've taken care of the Pittsburgh Pirates. They've also had a good job against the Chicago Cubs, the leader in the National League Central. And, of course, the Cardinals are going to be on their schedule again. Now, the Pirates had just find out what the Reds are all about when they lost 3 out of 4 in Pittsburgh against the Cincinnati Reds team. But don't look now, Pirates, because the Milwaukee Brewers are only 6 games behind them in the standings. They're trying to climb out of 4th place. The Reds are trying to catch the Brewers.
And I tell you, the guy, Chris, who has really helped the Reds in playing really well over this second half is Brandon Phillips. He's played beautifully.
Well, Brandon will tell you first off that the whole reason he's had this resurgence that he finally feels healthy. He's played most of the season with an injured foot. He's had an orthotic in his shoe and really several different types of treatment for that foot. And he says, now I finally got a foundation under me. I can swing the bat. I've got some power. He's driving the ball to all fields. And a healthy Brandon Phillips puts a lot of smiles on Reds fans' faces.
And you look at Phillips and what he did prior to Independence Day, and look at the numbers since. Nearly 100 points better with a batting average, nearly that number in the on-base percentage, and well beyond 100 points in the slugging percentage. Meanwhile, Eugenio Suarez really cooled off for a while, and now he's picking it up again.
Well, you know, he's a guy that just seems to get better and better a little bit at a time. He has some setbacks this year, yeah, because the leagues are always going to be a little bit ahead of a young player. But remember, Suarez is only 25 years old. He's a guy that is a good low ball hitter. He's adjusting to a new position at third base, and man, oh man, does he come on strong in the month of September.
All right, we'll see if the Reds can inch a little closer to the Brewers in the National League Central Division standings. They have 2 series left against one another this year. When we come back, we'll talk about tonight's pitching matchup. Jim Day is standing by with that and more, including a bit of Joey Votto. It's up next.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Local 12 meteorologist Scott Dimmick. If you're headed down to GABP to watch the Redlegs take on the Brewers, I expect a clear sky with temperatures falling through the 70s. 76 at first pitch for the final out of the game, upper 60s. Enjoy the game on Fox Sports Ohio.
Beautiful night for baseball. I'm Jim Day. Let's check out tonight's pitching matchup. For the Reds, it's a spot start for Kivas Samson. They're skipping over Anthony DeSclafani to limit his innings. And Kivas has made one start this season. It came on July 23rd versus Arizona. Went 4 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, struck out 6. But he has worked in relief 5+ innings 3 times this year, including 5 innings of relief versus his opponent tonight, the Brewers. That happened in August. The Reds have seen Willie Peralta many times. He was sent down after nearly a 7 ERA earlier this season, but since his return from AAA August 9th, 6 starts, 2-2 record, and a much better ERA at 3.35. That includes a 6-inning outing versus the Reds, giving up only 1 earned run on August 14th. In his career, 5-4 versus the Reds and an even 3 ERA. The Reds hope this September offensive explosion continues. 8 runs in back-to-back games. Game 1 versus the Brewers coming up. Tom and Chris with the call.
Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time. You get a look at the skyline of beautiful Cincinnati along the banks of the mighty Ohio. What a gorgeous night. Kivas Samson has pitched in 15 games this season, but only 1 as a starter. We saw him in that role frequently the last couple of months last year. And he's just spotting for tonight Anthony DeSclafani. Meanwhile, Craig Counsell done a pretty nice job with his Brewers team over the last year and a half since replacing Ron Renicky. And his lineup reads as follows. Get a look at Scooter Gennett. Will follow Jonathan Villar, the shortstop. Ryan Braun in left. Hernan Perez at third. Carter, 33 home runs at first. Keon Broxton in center. A latter third of Domingo Santana, Martin Maldonado, and Willie Peralta. Samson's done a pretty nice job so far this year.
Well, he does, and it was a conversion to the bullpen really that enabled him maybe to show where he could be the best, although he did get 12 starts last year and mixed success in that experience. But this year I think he's become more of a 2-pitch pitcher pitching out of the bullpen. Fastball, slider, you're going to see that combination a lot tonight.
Here's VR, 294 batter, 15 home runs, 54 batted in. Mike Everett says strike one. We're underway. 78 glorious degrees. Not a single cloud in the skies above. What a time of the year this normally tends to be in this part of the country. You get into mid-September and a lot of days just like this one. VR 53 stolen bases, trying to win that stolen base crown, Chris, with the unavailability of the injured Billy Hamilton.
Well, he's been very aggressive when he does get on base. So if he does get on, I mean, he'll try to steal second. He'll try to steal third. Whether he gets thrown out or not, it doesn't matter. He just remains undaunted.
High fastball in 94, 1 ball and 2 strikes. So he strikes out a lot, gets a lot of infield hits on. Move up in the batter's box right there. That was interesting. Move from about the middle of the box all the way to the very front edge. Why?
Yeah, I was wondering if he's probably looking for a breaking pitch. He's not seen a slider yet in this at bat. It's been fastball, 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 except for one changeup. And there's another changeup.
How about that? That's a good one there. So a good start for Kibis.
Really, the last time that Samson pitched against the Milwaukee Brewers, he went 5 innings. It was his longest stint of the year. It was a relief stint on August the 14th. Interestingly enough, it was the same night that his opponent tonight, mound opponent Willie Peralta, was on the mound. But he didn't throw very many changeups at all that night out of the bullpen. He threw mostly fastball slider, so maybe that left-hander didn't expect that changeup here early on. By the way, the Brewers have very few lefties in their lineup. In fact, you're looking at both of them. VR's a switch hitter, and Jeanette is a left-hander. The only 2 lefties in this entire lineup tonight.
Quickly ahead, strike one, and that one's in the air, left center field. A long way to go get it is Duvall, and how about that play? That had a very odd look to it, didn't it?
Well, it did, because I think he was surprised as to how far that ball actually carried. He took a bad route to it, but, you know, only because he was fooled. But, boy, athleticism takes over right here. Makes a little over-the-shoulder catch. And you know what? They don't care how you do it. They just care if you do it or not. Nice play.
Still shaking his head about it. So now Ryan Braun, 27 home runs, 82 batted in, .310 batting average. Overall, very similar numbers to those of Joey Votto. Braun does not walk as often as Votto. Nobody does. But both having very similar statistical years in a number of categories. That on-base percentage at .371.
And that's not really where the similarity ends either, because they are both team, really, I guess, the focal points of each team. They're both signed to long-term contracts. A lot of money, a lot of responsibility comes along with that. The only difference, however, this year for Ryan Braun, that there were some trade rumors surrounding Braun with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Glove side. How about Peraza? Will he get him? No. Braun runs well. He's always run well.
He's a good athlete. He's converted from an infielder to an outfielder. He's played all the different outfield spots on the corners. And he hustles down the line, and he gets out of the box very quickly on this one and beats the throw. The trade rumor involving Braun was kind of interesting, because the other end of that was Yasiel Puig. And they thought, at least those that the writers that I read, thought there was maybe a matchup there at the very last moment between the Dodgers and the Milwaukee Brewers. It did not come out.
So here comes Perez batting in the cleanup spot. We've seen this guy play all over the field. We've seen him in the outfield, different spots in the infield, and he's done a nice job for Craig Counsell so far this year. 30 stolen bases, 13 home runs, 54 batted in. They'd like to see that on base percentage a little bit higher.
Well, he's dangerous enough, though. I mean, I can't tell you that he's the number 4 hitter that they're looking for in this lineup, but he's a guy that if you hang a breaking ball to or get a fastball in his zone, he can hit it a long way. having a good September.
Threw that one right by him. Breaking ball up and away. You know, you look inside some of the numbers for Samson. Now you're only talking about a guy who's pitched 32 innings all year. But he's allowed fewer hits in innings pitched. The league is only batting .234 against Samson. He has surrendered just 1 home run. The problem for him last year and this year, walks. That one in the air and coming in to get a nice running play by Schebler. And Brandon Phillips ran a long way to not even get it. Let the young guy take it. Of the first inning. And there's a man that's going to lead things off for Brian Price. Jose Peraza. Look at that batting average. .329. Suarez to follow. Then Votto. 2 ball in the cleanup spot. Brandon bats 5th. Schebler is in right. Tyler Holt coming off a nice weekend series in Pittsburgh. Barnhart catching Samson. And on the mound, for whatever reason, Chris, we normally see this guy pretty good. But my, oh my, has he struggled over the last 2 years in Willie Peralta.
Well, he struggled so much, Tom, that he was sent down to the minor leagues. But since coming back in early August, he has been very, very good. He's had a number of quality starts. He's pitched the ball very well. He still throws hard. He always does. Average is about 96. One thing he's not been able to figure out, I think, in his young major league career is that's a changeup. He's fastball, slider, pretty much those pitches only. Now, he will mix his fastball up. He'll throw a 4-seam fastball, which has a lot of backspin on it. He'll throw that up in the zone more, get a lot of pop-ups out of that, some swings and misses upstairs. And he'll also live downstairs with a 2-seamer that tends to sink a little bit.
.329 batting average for Peraza. 18 batted in and got tied up. That's some gas. Chris just talked about he still throws hard. That fastball to 95.
The location of this is perfect because you begin to commit and you realize if you continue that swing, you have a chance of not only breaking your bat, but maybe hurting your hands a little bit.
Peralta was a guy as recently, Chris, as 2 years ago, prior to last year, where, you know, a lot of people around thought he was one of the better looking young pitchers in the National League. And big things were in store for him. Well, nothing could be further from the case until this more recent run.
Well, again, you know, it all comes down to being able to figure out how to pitch. How do you make that transformation from being a hard thrower where you can exist with 1 or 2 pitches like out of the bullpen to be a starter where you've got to see the same hitter 2 or 3 times in the lineup, maybe 4 times on a good game. And how do you keep them off your fastball? What other pitches do you have? And that's the age-old question for most hard-throwing youngsters that come up out of the minor leagues.
And, you know, pitchers like Peralta, in many ways, are a general manager's nightmare. And here's the reason why. Look what he did in 2014, and that's when everybody thought 17-game winner, ERA 3.5, nearly 200 innings, is a very, very young man. But then all the trouble sins. So you're saying to yourself at the end of the year, arbitration eligible. I mean, do you want to pay him $2, $3, $4 million, if not more, going to arbitration based on what he's done the last 2 seasons? Or do you say we're willing to do that because in the grand scheme of things in this day and age with the salaries, it's really not a lot of money, in hoping that we find the guy from 2 years ago? It's a tough call.
It is a tough call. The other thing is, though, that in baseball you realize it takes longer to do. It's almost like an NFL quarterback where it takes a while to finally groom a pitcher to the point where he becomes a pitcher rather than a thrower. Now he's 27 years old. He's had enough time in the minor leagues and major leagues to finally figure it out. But in my estimation, he still hasn't found that third pitch. And I think that's an important ingredient.
Here's Joey Votto after the walk to Suarez. And a foul ball off to the third base side.
And that's pretty much the way he's going to come after Votto, his hard stuff. He may try to bury a slider down and in. But for the most part right here, it's mano a mano.
The beat goes on for Joey Votto. The numbers have just been staggering. There's a high fly ball. We saw the ball carry very well off Jeanette's bat in the first inning. That one just short of the track. And Votto retired his first time up tonight. We look at Milwaukee defensively, brought to you by Ford. Santana back in the lineup. He was injured the last time we saw them. Out in right field. VR, we've seen him at short, we've seen him go to third, and now we see him go back to short. And we'll see down the road with Arcia, the young player figuring to be the shortstop of the future. Suarez at first, 9 steals and 14 attempts, and now it's Adam Duvall, 30 home runs, 87 knocked in. Strike one. Knocked down on the hot smash by VR. Everybody be safe. That'll be an infield hit for Adam. Well, the Reds offensively through the first couple of weeks of September really bringing the energy. So says IGS. Numero uno, Mr. Welsh, in 3 of 4.
It's really amazing how a difference a few months can make. This team couldn't find much offense at all early in the month. Of course, now in the month of September, you had Billy Hamilton for the first few days.
Yep.
And then even since then, this is what shows you, though, the resurgence of Joey Votto. When you start talking about being first in on-base percentage, first in batting average, I mean, he's hitting about 4-something in the month of September. He's on base almost more times than he's not on base, and that tends to make everybody around him better in the lineup.
And here's a guy that certainly has just been wearing it out the second half of this season, and that is Brandon Phillips, 289 batted, 10 home runs, 55 runs batted in for this long time Red second baseman.
Hey, really, a lot of people want to talk about how Votto is just dominated in the second half. Brandon Phillips is batting over 370 in his last 32 games.
And you go back even further than that, his last 50 games, he's hitting 350, and this will be another infield hit. Even if that's fielded cleanly, highly unlikely VR gets an out.
Well, the only chance they have on this, if he fields it cleanly, is one of the runners advancing, get a fielder's choice, maybe back to second base, although nobody's covering there. He'd have to field that ball and fire it over to third baseman. So VR, who's moved into shortstop as a fill-in tonight, because RC is getting the night off, is baseball's finding him. It's funny how that works.
Craig Counsell, an middle infielder, almost his entire major league career. Counsell played on a pair of world championship teams. And boy, in both of them, he was right in the thick of everything in a Game 7 of a World Series. And you talk about being at the right place at the right time. That would be Counsell. They're loaded for Schebler, strike one. And Counsell was a guy who scored the winning run for the Marlins in Game 7, a walk-off win in the 7-gamer against the Cleveland Indians, and then was hit by Mariano Rivera in the 9th inning, Game 7 of the World Series, when his then Diamondbacks defeated the Yankees. One and one to Schebler. 2 balls and a strike. Here's another guy that's really started to pick it up. And quite frankly, he needed to pick it up. Reds have given him an extended look since the Jay Bruce trade against lefties, righties. Didn't do much for about a month and a half. And now finally starting to swing the bat much, much, much better.
Now that with the bases loaded, Scott Schebler's got to remind himself, all right, you know, I'm the guy in the driver's seat right here. You got to shrink the strike zone down and just get your pitch exactly where you want it. And if it's not there, you let it go. You make Peralta bring you another one. And he's not likely to do that. He's a guy that has always struggled with his control.
3-1 on Schebler. And a bouncing ball in the center field, a base hit. That'll score 2. So the Reds put together 3 straight 2-out hits and lead 2-0. And the beat goes on for Schebler.
Well, when you're going good, these kind of balls find the hole. When you're going bad as a pitcher, you figure this is going to be a base hit, or is it going to be right at somebody? The Brewers have pulled around a little bit on Schebler, gave him the middle opening. And he uses it right there with a little overspin to get a couple of runs in. You can see the reaction from Peralta. Incensed.
So now the number 7 hitter, Tyler Holt, gets a chance with 2 on and 2 out. First pitch slider on the outside corner. Tyler has a hit in each of his last 6 starts, 8 hits in his last 21 at bats, including yesterday. Tied a career high with 3 hits in that win over the Buccos. Well, the Pirates look pretty much dead and done. They're not officially dead and done, but they look to be.
You know, whereas the Reds have a goal of probably trying to catch the Milwaukee Brewers, nobody wants to end up in last place. The Brewers, on the other hand, are trying to catch the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're only 6 games back of the Pirates. There's the wild card standings. Neither team playing tonight here are involved in that directly, but they will certainly have a say by who they play. Look at this.
How about that? Punched into right field. They're going to Wade Phillips, and the ball is bobbled by Santana. And the Reds lead 3-0, their 4th straight hit with 2 outs in the inning.
Well, they've hardly hit the ball out of the infield, really. They've had 2 infield hits. They've had a ground ball up the middle and now a blooper. Just goes to show you, when you put the ball in play, anything can happen. Kind of a slider that just stays right there, and just a Hail Mary swing. know, as a pitcher, when those things bad happen to you, like they've happened to Peralta, I mean, let's face it, there have been some pretty good luck here in this inning for the Reds already. So what you do as a pitcher, you think, I got to make a perfect pitch. I can't even let these guys get any kind of wood on the ball, because it seems like everything they hit is finding a base hit. So he rears back. He tries to throw harder. He's missed the zone. This is where sometimes frustration can really take you right out of your game.
Reds have jumped on Peralta here for a 3 spot, still batting in the opening inning. Tucker Barnhart, a count of 2-0, looking for something to jump all over right here and right now.
Maldonado, remember, trying to remind him, hey, use your head here.
It's a good 2-0 pitch when you're struggling.
Well, it's a great 2-0 pitch right there. Really, anytime a 2-0 changeup, when you throw 96 and you can take 10 miles an hour off of it. Barnhart looking fastball all the way.
Short left field, and coming in to get it is Braun. A solid opening frame for the Redlegs. They come up with 3 and lead 3-0. From bat already, we look at the Reds on defense, presented by Foyd. Hold another start for the injured Billy Hamilton in center field. And RBIs already in the game. 2 by Schebler, 1 by Holt, and a 3-0 lead as Kiva Samson takes the ball to begin the second inning, facing Chris Carter. Not much of a batting average at .225, very low on base percentage. Although considering his batting average, his on base percentage isn't all that bad for Carter at .324, but 33 home runs and 80 runs batted in. This guy has as much raw, pure power, and just look at the frame on him, you can certainly understand why, as anybody in the league. In there, strike, 3-1. Broxton waits on deck. He'll bat second in the inning, and then it will be Santana.
You know, the mind games that baseball is, when you're a starting pitcher, you're spotted to an early lead. Now, if you're a spot starter like Samson, you have to resist the temptation of thinking, I can get a win here tonight if I can just go 5 innings. And sometimes you look at the macro picture instead of pitch by pitch. And I say that because he went, 3-0 right away to the first batter that he faces. And sometimes you can lose your concentration. When you're in a tie game or a 1-run game, you're right on the edge. You're concentrating on every pitch. You don't want to let your guard down at all. Carter's an interesting guy. He reminds me of the type of hitter. Don Baylor is a good example. Short arms, quick bat, inner part of the plate. He fouls a few off until he gets his pitch. If you put it in his spot, he'll hit it out of sight. But you can get him out by making good pitches. And there's a good one there, a good changeup. A pitch that we have not seen Samson use out of the bullpen very much. He's using very well tonight. Give a little credit to Tucker Barnhart for calling that pitch. I mean, he's kind of guiding Samson through this thing anyway. So, as a starter, you've got to mix in that third pitch. He's done a good job so far.
You don't want to say that people are writing Samson off. Still so young. And there's a lot to like about that arm, especially when you see that kind of fastball. And tonight, the changeup we've seen and the way he's thrown the ball out of the bullpen. But let's also be honest about it. When he was given the chance last year, first taste of the big leagues, he struggled. And the high number of walks so far this year, and we all know what kind of talent, at least alleged talent. Now, I always say alleged, not in a mean way, but just until they get here, you just don't know. I mean, everybody expects Cody Reed to be better, but the bottom line is he came up here and he went 0-7 and got knocked around a little bit. And so for Samson, it seems like, every game, Chris, is almost an audition for him to continue to stay at least in the conversation.
Well, he had the kind of year last year that Cody Reed had this year. I mean, it's very difficult to come up out of the minor leagues and pitch in the major leagues and make that transition. Some guys do it quicker than others. I think Samson surprised a lot of people by being up here in the first place last year. Reds picked him up on the waiver wire from the San Diego Padres. They didn't pay anything for him. They liked his raw athletic ability, his arm, as you said. But it takes a while before you finally figure out what it is at the major league level. I mean, he hasn't even pitched 90 innings in the major leagues yet. Give him a few hundred innings before you really begin to render a judgment. However, in order to get a few hundred innings, you've got to pitch well.
Well, that's a catch-22. Unless, as you point out, frequently, you're that #1 pick or #2 pick, or you came over in a big deal and you gave up a big name guy to get somebody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Samson wasn't that guy.
No. Cody Reed might be that guy. Robert Stevenson is that guy.
For sure. Both of them.
And Samson's got to know that. So you say, well, for every chance that I get, Robert Stevenson may get 10 just because that's the way it works. But the chance he's got, he's on the mound right now in a big league stadium with a baseball in his hand.
And I loved his comments about it when he found out he would be starting today. Very thankful, very appreciative. He says it's my job to go out and get it done.
Bottom line is bottom line.
Bottom line is right. And really, bottom line was the story at the Marty Brennaman Golf Classic today. The bottom line is, who delivered the goods? And the answer would be Chris Welsh and company, as you came away winners today. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. There were 5 of us in the group. So, I may be the self-appointed team captain, but general manager, Eddie Shepard, we got great contributions from everybody. We'll talk about that as the game goes on.
You're a typical player. Congratulate the GM. Congratulate the captain yourself. No one ever mentions the owner, the guy who ponies up the dollars to bring him on board.
ABP. Tom and Chris were talking about the annual Marty Brennaman Golf Classic. It took place over the last 2 days as Kivas Samson faces Willie Peralta, and it was a good time had by all once again. 218 golfers total, 44 celebrity guests, and they raised nearly $200,000 for the Reds Community Fund. And they always have a surprise guest. The first time ever that it's a current Reds player, Billy Hamilton, who didn't make the trip to Pittsburgh with injury, surprised Marty yesterday morning. And they have raised over $2.5 million since the inception of this event. But the big side story, as always, it's Team Tom versus Team Marty.
Yep.
And we've got to take our hats off as you look at some pictures. Charlie Frank with Marty Brennaman right there. The owner of the club, Team Tom, brings home the trophy. And there's the winning team, gentlemen.
Left to right, please.
Jim Bolpenheim, Ed Shepard, Dave Mackey, myself, and Cody Martin. Every one of them had a hand in the win today. And Tom, we all got together at the very beginning. We teed off at 8:45 this morning, and we got together and said, hey, this is our owner's birthday. Well, let's bring home a special gift for this guy.
Well, thank you.
And I'm telling you, it was, the personality of our team. We were not to be denied today.
I'm just so proud of you. You all did a wonderful job. Very, very proud of the way you carried yourself with such tremendous class, ethics, morals out on the golf course, abiding by the rules, which everybody should. That shouldn't be something you get praised for, but I know you guys do it. You handle yourselves.
Well, we had a good
great esteem,
and I know that you put up the money. And as the owner, you want to make sure that when you spend some free agent money, you spend it in the right way.
Right.
And we picked up a free agent this year, and immediately got dividends. So we're happy about that.
Yes. Yes, Mackey, Shepard, Jimmy V, and you have been the mainstays of the group. And Cody, welcome aboard. It's right where you belong. You made a good decision.
Might be time to sign him to a long-term deal.
Nobody gets a long-term deal, not even the GM. It's the first win in a long time. It's worth a lot of laughs, that's for sure. Check swing and a miss. Peraza gone. Had his 5 batters in a row in this game that have gone down on strikes. Kivas struck out the side in the top of the inning, and now back-to-back case for Willie Peralta in the bottom of the inning. I think Peralta's a little on edge after the way that first inning went.
Yeah, he probably feels like he's been bitten with some bad luck. Of course, also the difference is he's down here in the bottom of the order too. He got to lead the pitcher off in this inning, which if you're Kivas Samson, you're thinking, if I'm leading off the second inning, that's a good thing. That means I probably got some runs on my behalf in the first, and he did.
Two up or down to third. Good strong arm there by Perez, and that will end the inning. 1, 2, 3 go the Reds. We go to inning 3. Reds in front by 3. for you to see the Reds and the Pirates this coming Friday night. Now you can get a view level ticket and a Los Rojos hat for this Friday's Fiesta Rojos game. Only $12. Go to Reds.com/FS Ohio right now. Use the code word FS Ohio. Offer is only available during tonight's game and through the post-game show. So, I mean, $12. Come on down. Weekend on a Friday night. You get the fireworks along with it. You get the hat. Should be a great time Friday night. Pirates coming in. Then the Reds will embark on their final road trip of the year, and it's a long one. 3-city trip. As they will go to Chicago, on to Milwaukee, and a final stop in St. Louis. Boy, how important could those games be for the Cardinals? That'll be what, games 1, 2, and 3 of the final 6 games of this season. All right, Kivas going to work on Martin Maldonado. Fastball, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Second pitch in a row. He's been right on the corner on the knees. Kivas is breaking out all the pitches. We've seen the fastball, the changeup, the slider, that last pitch there, a curveball. And those are pitches that you normally don't get to use when you're only coming in out of the bullpen pitching 1 inning at a time.
That one got him pretty good with a fastball.
Fastball running right in off the plate. Got him on the arm. Ouch.
Peralta going to try to advance a runner with a bunt, and he pops it into the air. Has only 1 sacrifice all season long, and that's a guy who tonight is making his 20th start.
Well, when you sense that there's a pitcher in the batter's box that does not handle the bat well, and you get 1 strike on him, that's when you start thinking about strikeout here. Maybe another high fastball up in the zone. Maybe he'll pop one up. Maybe you want to throw a breaking ball down. He'll just chase it like that. And when you get 2 strikes on him, you want to bury it.
And then he takes a swing, dropped by Phillips, and they're saying it's a double play, as it should be. I mean, Phillips extending the glove. Now, we don't know if he meant to do that or not. It didn't look like it at first glance, but Brandon is such a savvy player. Or are they saying no? It looks like they're saying he had the ball, and the runner at first will be safe. Now, Chris, you are the rules connoisseur of anybody I've ever been around in this game.
You can't intentionally draw. You can't get the ball in your glove and then drop it. And I think that's probably what they're calling right there, that's an intentional drop. So they're not allowing Brandon to do that. Now, if Brandon had fielded that, say, off his body and let it drop, it would have been a double play. But then you take the risk of that ball bouncing away from him a little bit. So the umpire said, well, he had it in control in his glove and then intentionally let it go. Good idea by Brandon. Why not? Especially when you get the idea that the runner's not running hard out of the box. That is Roberto Ortiz, up from the minor leagues, getting a start tonight as an umpire.
And look, umpires are no different than players. I mean, these guys work their way up through the minor leagues, and they're hoping ultimately one day to have this opportunity. And baseball in the last number of years has gone about just this. You know, spelling some of the guys that have been around that are probably going to work deep into October. Give them a little breather here in the middle of September before that quote unquote stretch run through the postseason.
Yeah, I think it's just about now that those umpires that have been selected to work the postseason are just now being notified. Like they go through the entire year not knowing whether they're going to have a chance to work in the postseason, maybe all the way to the World Series. They're constantly being judged. They're constantly being evaluated. To get reports all the time, really after every ball game. How they did behind the plate, whether they missed a call or rules interpretation on the bases.
On swinging VR, and that's already 5 strikeouts in the first 2 2/3 innings for Kiva Samson.
Hey, Samson looks very sharp.
Sure does.
He's had 3 days off since his last stint on the mound. That was only 1 inning. In fact, each of his last 3 outings have been 1 inning each. That's teasing the outside of the zone right there.
Hooked into right field, a base hit. That'll be the second of the game for the Brewers. First for Scooter Gennett, and here comes the man who had the first one, Ryan Braun, an infield hit in the opening inning, and he is their best RBI hitter in the lineup. You know, for years and years, Lance Berkman with the Astros was a guy that came in here and wore the Reds out. He's hit more home runs as a visiting player, has Berkman, than any other to visit GABP at 23. Well, knocking on the door is Ryan Braun, and he figures to come here a lot more in the coming years.
Well, he's got 5 of them this year. Not at this ballpark, but 5 home runs total against the Reds this year.
So he has 20. That's tied for second most behind Berkman with Albert Pujols, another guy who's come in here and inflict major pain. Good pitch there.
Was he guessing or what? The hitters will deny until they're on their deathbed. They're not guess hitters. There's no way. But I mean, come on. Why would you swing at a pitch 2.5 feet outside unless you think you're getting the fastball down the middle and you want to get your barrel going fast enough to catch up to it?
Oh, and 1 the count on Ryan Braun. Reds lead 3-0. If he chased it once, why not try it again? 1 ball, 1 strike. Two on, 2 out, and the 1-1 to Braun. Hot smash and right by Peraza, but the run will not score. So they're loaded.
Hit hard, yes, but right at him, and it's got to be an error all the way. You feel that ball or you're able to knock it down, you still have a chance to get him.
So Kivas needing a 4th out here in the inning, and here comes Hernan Perez. He popped up to short right on a nice running grab by Schebler, ending the opening inning. This frame started with a hit batsman, a single, and now an error. Strike one. Well, that's smooth and easy, as you like to say, Chris. Smooth and easy gas here in 95.
That's not how hard you throw. It's how hard you look like you're throwing.
A ball and a strike. Pulled foul, and now Kivas ahead at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Let's see if Samson can put him away and keep the Reds in front. 3-zip, 1-2. Fouled it back, came back with a fastball again at 95. Two and two. In the air, right field should end the inning, and it does. So the Brewers leave them loaded. Good work by Samson. One of them brought to you by Elk and Elk. Lowest starters earned run average going back to the 3rd week of August. And I mean, Chris, who would have thunk this? The Milwaukee Brewers with the lowest starters ERA over the last 3.5 weeks.
Well, they've really come on, and you look at that starting rotation. You're looking at Willie Peralta tonight, Matt Garza, Zach Davies. Davies has been excellent. Jimmy Nelson, Junior Guerra, Chase Anderson. So not exactly household names, but they've thrown the ball extremely well.
And right now they're using a 6-man rotation. Matt Garza has come off the disabled list, and he's been very good. Votto on the ground to the shortstop. One away.
Well, they've won 7 of their last 12, the Brewers have. So, you know, it's kind of interesting because they somewhat parallel what the Reds are trying to do, which is rebuild. They've traded away over the last couple of years a lot of their players. They have new coaches in. They've got, of course, Craig Counsell in here in his second year. And they're wondering, you know, where they are when it stacks up to the rest of the league. Having just taken 2 out of 4 against the St. Louis Cardinals, they feel good about that, although they feel like they could have won every game in that 4-game set. Probably the same way the Reds feel like they were in every game in Pittsburgh, although they did end up winning the majority of that set against Pittsburgh, 3 of the 4. Especially the shellacking they gave the Pirates yesterday. The one difference, I guess, when you compare where these two teams are, the Brewers may be ahead slightly when it comes to position players, but they're far behind when it comes to developing pitchers. The Reds have many more quality arms, I think, you know, either at the major league level or at the verge of being at the major league level than do the Brewers. And that might be by design.
Adam Duvall, a 1-2 count. The fastball gets away from Willie Peralta there. Duvall, an infield hit, the first of what turned out to be 4 straight 2-out hits by the Reds, producing the 3 runs in the opening inning. Boy, a couple of the Blue Bloods getting together in interleague play on this September 12th tonight at Yankee Stadium. 2 away in the inning. The Dodgers and the Yankees getting together tonight. Well, how about the history there? And all of a sudden, the way the Yankees have been playing, Chris, that's a very meaningful series. We know about the Dodgers, leaders in the NL West, but the Yanks only 2 games out of the wild card.
Yeah, the Yankees were supposed to be sellers at the trading deadline, which they were. And they're supposed to be rebuilding, something that Brian Cashman has wanted to do for a long time. He finally got the okay from ownership. And lo and behold, the young guys that they've got up in that roster don't believe in rebuilding. They think, hey, maybe we've got a shot to kind of slide in the side door here.
I mean, it's incredible that American League East. You have the leaders, the Boston Red Sox, and then take a look at that in the wild card. Toronto and Baltimore, identical records, each 2 behind Boston in the East. And you saw the wild card. We go back to it. You know, the Tigers are in that mix with the same record as well. The Yankees and Tigers 2 back. Man, is that exciting. 4 teams in the American League East, either in a division lead, a wild card lead, or within 2 of a division lead or wild card lead. And the inning is over. 1-2-3 go the Reds. On the line out by Phillips. 3-0 Cincinnati at the end of 3.
Baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Tom and Chris were talking about that crazy wild card race in the American League. Well, big series opens tonight in St. Louis. Cubs at the Cardinals. Cubs' magic number is 5 to clinch the division. Cardinals just a half game back of the second wild card spot. Hendricks versus Mike Leake tonight. Leake's first start since returning from the disabled list. So a big one in the NL Central.
Yeah, it is a big one for sure, as the Cardinals are trying to get in there, as you pointed out. But the Cubbies are flying high, though. We've talked about it so frequently. And we were talking about it with, Brian Anderson and Bill Schroeder, TV voices of the Milwaukee Brewers before the game tonight. The amount of pressure on that Cub team going into the playoffs is just going to be extraordinary. Now, they may not feel it. I'm not suggesting that, they're going to feel the weight of the world on top of their shoulders once they take the field to open the division series. But they are going to be a huge, prohibitive favorite against whomever it is that they play. And they are going to be expected to play in the World Series. When's the last time you said that about a Chicago Cub team? I can tell you when it was. It was 2003. And we know what happened in that league championship series, a 7-game loss to the Marlins.
Oh, you remember that team very well, Tom, because you were there. And I got to ask you, if you compare that team relative to the competition that was around the league in 2003 and this year's Cubs team compared to everybody else in baseball, at least in the National League this year, which is a better team?
Well, I think the competition was much, much better that year, that they were having to go up against. I think the overall quality of play in the National League this season, at least the teams that look like they're going to the playoffs after the Cubs and to a far lesser extent the Nationals, I think everybody else is more than beatable by a lot of teams that are not going to the playoffs. But back then, in 2003, I mean, you had a Marlins team that everybody was scared to death of when the playoffs began, and they were the wild card. That's when they only had one wild card. And they took down the team with the best record in all of baseball in the opening round, the Barry Bonds-led San Francisco Giants. And that's enough said about the Giants. So, I think the level of competition for the Cubs, this team record-wise is better than that team. If you went position by position, I don't know if they're better. Their pitching's probably better. Pryor and Wood that year were incredible.
Yeah.
But after that, they weren't as good as once you get past Arrieta and Lester as the Cubs have been so far this year. And the bullpen, there's no contest since the addition of Aroldis Chapman. None. That's why I say, Chris, along with from the historical perspective of it all, and everybody knows the Cubs have not been to the World Series since 1945. They haven't won one since 1908. That's why I think the pressure is even greater when you take that into account, and now you take into account how superior of a team they have been compared to everybody else in the National League during the regular season.
I think that's the key right there, because they don't see the pressure of not having been a World Series winner over 100 years, because they haven't been around that long. A lot of these young kids have just come up over the last couple of years. They don't know much about anything.
Yeah, they don't even know the 03 team.
So I really believe that it's sometimes you can take their competition too lightly, but the postseason is completely different. You're right. But boy, they are a deep team. I mean, you talk about Lester and Arrieta. I mean, the best pitcher on that team, record-wise, earned run average-wise this year as a starter, is Kyle Hendricks, the young man pitching inside. He's got a 2.0 earned run average this year. And here's a guy that hardly breaks 90 miles an hour. I think Joe Maddon's done a nice job, and I think that ball club is in pretty good hands in the postseason preparation, from a preparation standpoint, and making sure that he's got their head screwed on right and grounded. Would be an interesting series, though, if Dusty Baker brings his Washington Nationals into town.
And it would also be very, very interesting if the Cardinals happen to be the team that played the Cubs again in the opening round. Now, last year there were role reversal there. The Cardinals were the favorite. Cubs beat them in the division series. But if the Cardinals come in with that rivalry and play them in a division series as an underdog, we'll see. One on Santana, straight up in the air. A few paces to his left for Tyler Holt. 2 outs in the inning with Broxton aboard at first base.
Boy, Samson's been good. I mean, he's been really missing the center of the bat. Broxton had a nice solid base hit. Santana, who can hit it a long way, just missed that one with a little extra movement on his fastball. I mean, the only start that Samson had all year long was against the Diamondbacks, and he only went 4 innings. He's an out away from that right now.
Runner takes off, and they got it. And Samson points at his catcher and says, "Well done, Tucker Barnhart." How about that?
Well, they're going to hold on right here as Craig Counsell's got his right foot on the top of the dugout step, waiting for the video man to call in whether you're going to review it or not. Here's the replay of it. Out, I think. He came off the base, so they got him out a second time. You're all over it.
Live with the MLB.com at bat app. Stay up to the moment. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone or tablet. Reds and Fox Sports Ohio love to send out a very special happy birthday wish to Eugene Medley. Now here's a birthday. Eugene, a World War II veteran. We salute you, Eugene Medley. Thank you for your service. And a happy 91st birthday today. Eugene Medley, happy birthday, sir. Salute to you. Scott Schebler had the 2-out, 2-run single in the 3-run third. He drives this ball into left field. It'll back up Braun to the very start of the warning track. 1 pitch and 1 out. Reds have made it easy here in the last couple of innings, at least as far as number of pitches they're seeing per at bat against Peralta.
Yeah, for a guy that really does not throw all that many strikes, he's only about 50-50 strikes and balls when you look at his numbers on the season and really going into last year. I think sometimes, though, when a guy throws as hard as Peralta, and he does have a very nice slider, you really don't want to get to a point of 2 strikes because he does have the strikeout pitch.
Bottom of the 4th inning. Reds with 3 in the 1st, and that still stands here in the last of the 4th. Holt, an RBI little flare into right field. Leading Phillips in that 3-run 1st inning. 1 ball, 1 strike on Tyler.
You know, Tom, while we were talking about the Marty Brennaman Golf Classic tournament, also wanted to send congratulations out to the winners of the non-All-Star division. You know, not the Marty and Tom competition, but the folks from A1 Trophies and Awards won that with a very nice 13 under. That came from Josh Sneed, and no joking there.
Oh boy. Don't make your living in that business. Here's a tapper and a really good play by Scooter Gennett. Holt can run, man. That's a nice play by the Milwaukee second baseman.
Well, Gennett's a young man that was born in Cincinnati, raised in Sarasota, Florida, and he's got a lot of range. I mean, this is the kind of play that Craig Counsell would make from time to time. This is kind of a gritty little player. Always seems to be in the right spot. Gennett has picked up a hit as well.
And, you know, to tie a ribbon around the big golf tournament the last couple of days, and it's a 2-day event. I know Mark Scheer, part of the Reds broadcast sales department, was part of the team that came away winners, edging out Marty Brennaman's team, I believe, on Sunday. Is that right?
That was an upset. Boy, what a day they had. They were 19 under because your dad's team, which was loaded with some very fine golfers, just came up 1 short. I would imagine they're due for an overhaul.
They're about due. You know, to quote Ed Shepard, the general manager of our team, he posed the question, has the game passed them by? He doesn't have a lot to say that you know, has that kind of depth to it, but it's a legitimate question.
Yeah. Well, some may think it's not legitimate.
It's very entertaining, if not legitimate. Three and two on Tucker Barnhart with 2 down and nobody on.
Hey, hey, Peralta beginning to throw the ball even a little bit harder now than he did in the very beginning of the ball game. And that's what happens to big, strong guys like Peralta. They begin to find their rhythm a little bit. Their confidence gets better. Looking for his third 1-2-3 inning in a row. When I say big guy, I'm not kidding around. I know we're in football season, but Peralta's the kind of guy. They list him at 6'1", 245. He's probably at least that.
Pulled to the right side. It'll be a third straight perfect inning for the Milwaukee Brewer right-hander since the Reds scored 3 in the first inning.
Appreciation night, and many of the pregame festivities, the ceremonies featured those from our first responders and EMTs throwing out the first pitch, singing the national anthem. And we can't thank them enough. And we are one day removed from the 15th year anniversary of that horrible day, September 11th, 2001. And with that in mind, there was a moment of silence also before the game. And in the Kroger fan zone, there is a display in which people are just having a quiet moment. It's a portion of the 1.8 million tons of debris and twisted steel that came down when those Twin Towers came down in 2001. In 2011, that beam was transported to Cincinnati and is displayed in honor of the victims on that day as part of the Fire Museum of Greater Cincinnati. And just some quiet contemplation out in the Kroger fan zone today, a day removed from, well, one of the worst days in our country's history, 15 years ago yesterday.
Jim, thank you very much for that. Of course, so many remembrances yesterday all over the United States of America on 9/11. And everybody has their own story for what they remember about that day. I recall vividly in 2001 as the announcer for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And we played the New York Yankees in the World Series that year. And 9/11 was roughly about 5.5 weeks as it's strike 3 called to Maldonado. 6th strike out of the game for Samson. He's really throwing the ball well, but you know, it's about 5 weeks after 9/11, and now you're really getting to the constant, the labor, the work, the tragedy, the sadness, but hard work of trying to, you know, dig your way through even that much longer after the actual incident itself. of cleaning up the rubble and perhaps maybe finding a person still in there somehow, some way, you know, even still alive. And so Rudy Giuliani, the mayor at the time in New York City, as there's a little flare into right by Willie Peralta, he was looking for anybody that was coming into New York City that had some claim to fame of some kind or another, no matter how large or how small, to just go down to ground zero and lift up the spirits of those that were working there. There were hundreds of people working there weeks and weeks after 9/11. And the Diamondbacks, after game 2, flew all night, plane landed. The team buses dropped off some of the people that went to the hotel, but they took the, you know, the Randy Johnsons, the Kurt Schillings, the Luis Gonzalez's, or anybody else that wanted to go. And we went down to ground zero. I mean, smoke still coming up. The rubble piled still 5 to 7 stories high. Machinery, people picking up, trying to pick up pieces of cement. You know, I mean, they're everywhere. Hundreds of pounds, each one of them. Dozens of pounds, others. Rock by rock, or cement by cement, and it was just horrific sight. And you'll never forget it. You can't believe when you go there now of what was there then.
Well, it's still a very sobering experience.
Sure. And when that World Series started, that first game at Yankee Stadium, it was game 3 of the series. George W. Bush, the president, comes walking out on that mound. Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium, jam-packed, louder than any place I'd ever been. And when that eagle came soaring through the air and he threw out the first pitch and it popped the mitt, the feeling in that building was just beyond description. So there's a walk after the single, and now Kiva's going to take a little break here. Brandon Phillips going to come over as Max Jenkins will now slowly jog/walk out to the mound. Activity for the first time. Blake Wood starting to throw.
Well, after 4 innings, they probably figured they got about as much out of Kiva Samson as they thought they would. Now he's right around 80 pitches, which is no big deal, but you know, you begin to lose the effectiveness and the snap on your pitches, and you begin to nibble a little bit more when you don't feel like you can overpower people. So maybe that's the case now. They're just going to tell them, hey, you just keep the ball down here, get yourself a double play ball. Guy's the first pitch hitter here. You know, Samson has gotten this far pitching very well by attacking the strike zone. He's only walked 1, and that was the last batter he faced. Don't change now. I got to figure this may be his last batter if he's not able to retire Scooter Gennett with Ryan Braun on deck.
Three balls and no strikes. Well, you're that 2 outs away from that, at least being in a position to win a game with a 3-0 lead here in the 5th. That fella's waiting for you on deck. Three and 1 on Gennett. All right, now 3-2.
Boy, that was a kind of swing from Jeanette where he was trying to go downtown. Betting the ranch he was getting the fastball. He got one.
A long look in. 3-2 on Scooter Jeanette. Samson to the plate. Got him swinging after falling behind 3-0 in the count. Number 7 for Samson. And that matches his career high set in October of last year against the Pirates.
Second time in his ball game, he's gone 3-0 to a hitter and then come right back to get him with a strikeout.
Braun is collected an infield hit in the first inning, hit a rocket right at the shortstop Peraza, and it went right by him. Ruled an error his last time up in the third. That's a pretty good pitch right there, just off the plate. Ball 1.
That was a pretty good pitch. Well, the one thing about throwing your first pitch, if you do miss and miss inside, it seems to open up the outer part of the plate a little bit. So Braun sets up like he would be a low ball hitter. Holds his bat straight up and down, holds his hands very high, and then those are normally an indication that a hitter likes the ball down. Now, he likes it out over the plate, but he can get his bat head to that pitch that's up in the zone. You've got to be very careful. Anything where you let him get his arms extended.
Off the outside corner, 3 balls and a strike. Look at that. Pitches 2 and 4. Well, 4, I guess, slightly off. 2 called a strike, 4 knocked. And 4 did not appear to be one. And they are loaded. Do you give him one more batter, Chris? I mean, you know Brian Price would like to see the guy get a win.
I'm sure he does want to give him a win, and he's retired Hernan Perez in the 2 previous times he's been up there. It also builds a little something for you, but I think Brian Price is thinking about winning ball games, number 1, and he's going to go to his bullpen and probably thank Kiva Samson for giving him probably as much or more than he expected to get out of him.
So be our Skyline Chili called to the bullpen. He's 1 out away. Leads 3-0. The base is loaded and won't get a chance to earn a win tonight. Back in a moment.
not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
We invite you to check out the new Optics District rooftop at the ballpark. For only $15, you get general admission, seating, access to exclusive rooftop patio, plus your first drink is on the house. For tickets, visit reds.com/district. So a couple of changes. Steve Selski takes over in right field. Schebler replaces Holt in center. And now on the mound, trying to get the final out here in the fifth, is Blake Wood.
Well, he's one guy you're kind of curious about coming in with the bases loaded, because if you look at the walks and the number of strikeouts or walks in innings pitched, he averages almost 5 walks per game. So hopefully Blake Wood finds a strike zone here. No place to put the batter.
First pitch fastball, and there's strike to Hernan Perez.
Actually, it's 90 miles an hour, but I think it was a slider. I mean, he throws extremely hard. Wood does. Throws it up around 97, 98 miles an hour. That ball had a little cut on it.
High fly ball, short left field. Wood does a job. 2 pitches to retire Perez. Second time the Brewers leave the bases loaded.
A terrific ticket offer to see the Reds and the Pirates this Friday night. Get a view-level ticket and a Los Rojos hat for this Friday's Fiesta Rojos game for only $12. Go to reds.com/FSOhio right now and use the code FSOhio. The offer is available only through tonight's Reds Live post-game show. So come on out and see the Los Rojos on Friday night.
Well, Jim Day dialed in. Jim, how was everything over the weekend in Pittsburgh? Neither Chris nor I were there, but I know you were around.
I was there for a couple of games.
Yes.
And then they brought me back, and I did the studio on Saturday. Participated, hosted the event, your father's golf tournament last
Heard
night.
you did a great job.
Well, you know, sometimes you just got to fool them.
Heard you did a great job. Heard that from multiple sources as usual.
It was a good weekend, though. They're a little down in Pittsburgh, though. Clint Hurdle getting a little bit of heat.
Yeah, who would have thought that, right?
Yeah.
Selski, his first at bat, a one hopper down to third. Peralta on quite a roll here. 11 in a row retired since the Reds had 4 straight hits, and neither one of them would have broken the proverbial, pane of glass. but 4 hits nonetheless, adding up to 3 runs in the opening inning. Well, he won't get the win, but all in all, an outstanding job tonight turned in by Kibas Samson, starting in place of Anthony DeSclafani. 4 2/3 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with DeSclafani. Brian just noticed a drop in his stuff the last couple of outings and has decided to just give him a breather for a day or two, realigning the starting rotation. And there'll probably be a lot of that going on as we move forward, as a couple of pitchers get very close to an innings limit. Fly ball to right, 2 outs. If a Red hits a home run off that Toyota sign tonight, out in the Power Stacks area, David Eplin from Fort Mitchell, KY, will win back beautiful Tundra. You can still register for your chance to win. Stop by your Cincinnati and or Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. 2 up, 2 down. And here is Suarez. He drew a first inning walk, scored the first Reds run. Bring it 2 on Suarez. Cubs an early run, leading Mike Leake and the Redbirds in St. Louis 1-0. That game in the 3rd inning. And there's strike 3 called. Suarez thought it was off the corner, but they ring him up.
Passing by. So if I'm gonna go it all, go big or go.
Beautiful, beautiful night at Great American Ballpark in downtown Cincinnati. Reds opening a 2-series homestand. They only have 3 more home games left all year long after this homestay. Pirates in Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The first of 3 tonight against the Brewers. At the end of 5, Reds with a 3-0 lead. Carter, Broxton, Santana against reliever Blake Wood, who got the final out, leaving the bases loaded in the 5th in relief of Kivas Samson.
He did a nice job. Wood did. You know, he's had control problems, Wood, but the first 2 pitches he threw in that inning, the only 2 were breaking balls. So good calls there by Barnhart to get out of the inning. And this should help him get out of this inning.
1 out.
You know, there are no guarantees, I think, next year. I mean, there are certain guys I'm talking about the pitching and in the bullpen especially. There might be certain guys guaranteed spots out there, but there's a lot left undecided. And that's where an outing by Kivas Samson tonight, all he wants to be is included in the discussion next year. When he comes to camp, he wants to be one of those guys on that whiteboard that's in the manager's office that would have a check by it by saying, all right, this guy's on the roster, number 1. He's going to get plenty of innings in spring training, and he's going to be under consideration to be on this ball club. Because when you've been up and down from the minor leagues to the major leagues like Kivas Samson, that's really all you can expect. And I think he took a step in that direction tonight.
Here's Keon Broxton. He fouls it back out of play. Well, good for Kivas Samson.
Yeah.
It's a nice young man, hard worker. You get the opportunity, and you know, no matter how many you get, you better make the most of it. Some get more than others, as we've talked about already. 0-2 on Wood. Boy, that has some giddy up there at 96.
Now, the only thing really that has stood between what Blake Wood has done and tremendous success in the major leagues is being able to throw the fastball where he wants to. I mean, when he gets it over, he's hard to hit.
You know, that ground ball a moment ago that Suarez threw out Carter, that was the first ground ball out by Reds pitchers in the game tonight, and here we are in the 6th inning.
So fly ball pitchers can survive here. You mix in some strikeouts. What did Kivas had? 6 of them?
7.
7.
And now Wood by number 1, getting Broxton, and ahead of Santana, 0-1. Sharp ground ball, but right at Peraza, 2 down, and that'll end the inning. On the throw over, first 2 retired, ground out, strikeout, a ground out to end it.
Stone's rocket arm. Nationals 8-1 over the Mets tonight. Mets needing that game badly. But Max Scherzer, the ace for the Nationals, 251 strikeouts. He reached the 250 mark on Saturday. 3 seasons he's done this. Justin Verlander, other guy, has done it 2 seasons, 09 and 11. So it will be interesting to see playoff matchups coming up in October.
Hey, Matt Latos, by the way, homered in that Nationals game tonight. How about that?
A lot of people surprised that he's even in the major leagues. That way he's bounced around the last couple of seasons. He may have found a home back there with Dusty Baker.
Well, he pitched so well for Baker here with the Reds those first 2 seasons. I mean, you know, doesn't make any difference personally what some of the players have expressed their feelings about Latos, but there can be no denying that his first 2 years with this Reds team, he pitched as well as anybody in the league. Especially in this ballpark, where a lot of people wondered could he pitch here after they made the deal coming over from spacious Petco. Popped up by Votto, a rare hitless night for Joey in 3 at-bats.
Well, he had a hitless night last night, or yesterday anyway, Votto did, but over the last 12 games he is still hitting up around 380.
It's 14 consecutive hitters retired by Willie Peralta. The final out in the 3-run first. Perfect frames in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. 1 batter here in the 6th. One out of the count and a liner, but because of the shift, that's a second baseman standing there. How about that? 15 in a row. Well, get a look at this weekend's local football action. Tri-State Tailgate is the name of the show. Our good friends Jeff Pecoro and Tony Pike will host and preview the big games in the area in pro and college. The Tri-State Tailgate is this Thursday at 6 on Fox Sports Ohio, presented by Columbia Hyundai and Genesis. Well, we know that 2 of the we talked about 2 blue bloods in Major League Baseball scoring off tonight, the Dodgers and the Yankees in interleague play. Well, you talk about blue bloods, that is the matchup of college football powers this weekend, involving one of our local teams as the number 3 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes invade Norman, Oklahoma to take on the Sooners this Saturday night. That's a big league matchup there. Also, Louisville, ranked in the top 15 in the country, will go down to Tallahassee to take on Florida State. Or is the game in Louisville?
I believe that game is in Louisville.
It's in Louisville. I beg your pardon. Okay, thank you. So Florida State comes to Louisville. That's why it's Papa John's Stadium over there, isn't it?
Sure
in Louisville?
Is. Nice venue.
Nothing in 2 on Brandon Phillips. And now Peralta rocks and delivers off the outside corner. 1-2. Brandon, a single, scored in the Reds' 3-run first inning. "15 straight set down by this Milwaukee right-hander, and he's on the losing side of the scoreboard. Slow roller. Fair ball, and an infield hit ends a string of 15 straight. It's a second infield hit for Brandon Phillips tonight.
Now this is the perfect swinging bunt right here, and Brandon knows it. Comes out of the box very quickly. Nice play by Perez even to field it, but Brandon tiptoeing as he goes across the first base bag.
Fastball high, 1-1 the count on Schebler. First time in a long time where Peralta's had to pitch out of a stretch. Still got some life on that fastball. 96 miles per hour. On what is 87th pitch of the game. Bang.
You see where he gets his power, though. He's very big, strong guy, especially through his core and lower half. I mean, he really uses his legs. He with a runner on base, he doesn't really much go to a slide step or an abbreviated windup. Stretch position, that is. So you figure he'd be pretty easy to run on if you're so inclined to do so, if you had the speed on the base paths. He's more about getting it there with something on it rather than getting it there quickly and compactly. Brandon running there on a 2-2 count.
Phillips a short lead over at first. 2-2 on Schebler. And that ball driven hard down the left field line, tailing away from Ryan Braun. Phillips will advance on to second. So some 2-out noise here for the Reds.
I think Schebler's beginning to change some opinions of him as a hitter. He was a guy early in the year that when he had any power, he really just pulled the ball. And he got up there looking to pull just about everything he did. But tonight, he's had a base hit to right field. He's had a fly ball to left, and that ball down the left field line goes in there for a base hit. He just seems much more interested now in spraying the ball all over the ballpark.
So that's going to do it for Peralta, or is it? Maybe not. They may stay with him right at that 90 pitch mark. They have the young man out of Moeller High School getting loose in their bullpen. He pitched collegiately at Harvard. And that is the left-hander, Mr. Brent Suter.
Well, that was the pitching coach, Derek Johnson, out there. So that's one indication that we didn't think. There's Suter on the left. Had a nice visit with his former coach, Mike Cameron, in the booth before the ball game. Boy, did he have a lot of nice things to say about Brent Suter. And not as a baseball player. We'll probably get to see him in this series.
Well, I think Fred Counsell will make it a point to get him into a game, and this is hometown. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Well, the other part of it is that the Brewers have only one left-hander in their bullpen. And you've got enough left-handed hitting on the Reds ball club that you're going to make a move at some point.
Hernan Iribarren, and our statistician Joe Luckham tells me we are witnessing baseball history here tonight. It's the first game ever that there are 2 Hernans in the same Major League Baseball game. Of course, they're the only 2 in the major leagues, but they happen to be playing in the same game tonight.
Boy, has this guy been on fire or what? I mean, the last home series the Reds had, he had a ball game in which he went back to, or 2 games in a row in which he went back-to-back triples, right? As a pinch hitter.
Yes. Hernan meet Hernan. Started 2 and laid off of it. 2 balls and 2 strikes. All right, a 3-2 pitch now coming up to Iribarren. 2 on, 2 out. And the runners go. And a bouncing ball. How about that? First time 2 Hernans in the same major league game. And one watches the other bounce out to Scooter Gennett. Still 3-0 Red Legs. Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together. Reds are going to go to their bullpen for a second time tonight. Excellent work by Blake Wood. A perfect inning in a third with a strikeout, including getting the final out with the bases loaded when he came on in the 5th.
Well, Brian Price figured it would be a bullpen night when you send out a spot starter, so they got 4 2/3 from their starter. Kivas Samson did a double switch to get Wood in there for multiple innings. He went 1 1/3. Now Michael Lorenzen, who's been pretty doggone dependable. How dependable as he has been, he's running the count now 3-0.
And there's a 3-1 strike. Maldonado not so sure. On the ground to Peraza, and Lorenzen retires the first batter he faces here in the Milwaukee 7th inning. The only runs in this game came in the bottom of the first inning when the Reds scored 3 on 4 consecutive. Lightly struck, but hits nonetheless, 4 in a row to drive in 3 runs.
And that's really the only offense we've seen. We haven't really even seen that many hard hit balls tonight. Reds had an outpouring of runs last night. They actually had a couple of games there in Pittsburgh where they had a lot of runs. I think they scored 8 runs in 2 of those games, had 2 one-run game wins.
Two and one. And now 3 balls and a strike. Jake Elmore bats for the first time as he hits for Peralta. Peralta goes 6 through the ball so well tonight. He allowed 6 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned. Just had some bad luck in that inning. A couple of infield hits, a little broken bat flare by Holt. And Schebler just hit a bouncing ball up the middle that 8 times out of 10, if you're not shifting so much, that's a routine play. Popped up. Phillips will give way to Schebler, and makes a diving attempt and comes up short.
Well, they gave way to Schebler earlier in the ball game, and Schebler came in and made the catch. This time Selski is playing right field. Schebler moved to center, and Selski unable to come up with this one. Almost identical, really, of what we saw early in the ball game in the first inning. I think Brandon puts that one in his pocket.
And I said Schebler, I beg your pardon. It was Schebler, as Chris mentioned, that was out there earlier. Schebler now in center after they brought Blake Wood into the game, and Selski went into right. Bouncer to Votto. Good throw to second, and that's all they'll get. DR extremely fleet of foot. 2 away in the inning. We invite you to book your next group outing in the Jack Cincinnati Casino Champion Club boxes. Great hospitality area, offers outdoor seating in blocks of 4, 6, or 8. Get an outdoor bar and all-inclusive food and non-alcoholic beverages in the Champions Club and so much more. 513-765-7600.
Yeah, the food up there is good, really good. So watch VR at first base. We mentioned him early on as wanting to be right up there in the top. What they do, balk? Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's probably angry because he didn't get a chance for a stolen base.
Bain try to go to third.
Can book it.
Yeah, with Billy Hamilton out, the door is wide open now for VR to win that stolen base crown in the National League. Wide open.
Well, I guess that second move was interpreted as him beginning his stretch into the set position. You can turn and look to first base. But you can't come back and look like you're going to start your stretch.
Base hit into right. Are they going to send the runner? They're going to wave him around. Here comes a throw by Selski, and VR is out at the plate. What a throw by Selski, and a nice job by Tucker to hang on to the baseball. Good for you, Steve Selski. Give you one more look going to break. The shutout remains intact on this strike from Selski in short right. One hopper right on the button. And one of Cincinnati's most historic annual events, Oktoberfest Cincinnati. Now, you park just one time, you take in both of them. Reds game and celebrate the Queen City's German heritage. First 20,000 fans at Saturday night's 6-10 game against the Pirates receive a Reds Stein thanks to Moorline Lagerhaus. For tickets, log on to Reds.com. All right, last of the 7th inning. And the Reds with a 3-0 lead. Jacob Barnes, a right-hander, takes over on the mound for Peralta.
Well, the young man, the star of the season in Double-A, ended up a lot of innings in Triple-A, and here he is in the major leagues. Brewers, like the Reds, have a lot of arms down in that bullpen here for their September games.
You know, at the end of the day, I'm curious. Do you think this expanded rosters thing is a good thing, or should there be some kind of limit?
I think
is there good or bad?
I think it affects the pennant races, and I can understand why teams want to take a look at extra players, but at the same time, you know, you play 5 of the 6 months in a season with a 25-man roster, and then all of a sudden you expand it almost unlimited. What other sport does that during the most important month of the season? And baseball is the one sport where you can use an extra player here or there. You know, if you've got an NBA basketball team, you're going to bring some guy up out of the.
Here's a drive to center. It's going to be caught.
The minor leagues and stick him next to LeBron and say, hey, we're going to play the last few minutes of this game with you. Probably not. You've got enough on your bench, but here, you know, you can put an outfielder in for a position, you know, for a defensive move. You can bring a real fast base runner up. I don't agree with it. I think they could have the same. We've talked about it, but I mean, basically, if you want to bring more guys up, fine, but every night make a 25-man roster.
Or, you know, or maybe there's some kind of happy medium there. You know, maybe you say, okay, every night we're going to have a 30-man roster, you know, just to add 5 bodies rather than, you know, 15 or more. Broken back by Selski, made the big play, throwing out the runner at the plate a moment ago. 2 up, 2 down. I'm sure we'll see that on our post-game show tonight right here on Fox Sports Ohio. We call it Reds Live, and it's brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Jim Day will be in the Fox Sports Ohio condominium. Jim, I think the condominium needs a little bit of a makeover. You think we'd have like a day or something like that in the fall once the season's over, make October, have some kind of contest where, you know, maybe we find some Reds fans, line them up with some tickets, you know, that maybe are really good at a particular trade, a carpenter, an electrician, that kind of thing, and sort of spruce the old place up a little bit.
I'm for it. And if you can get rid of that aluminum drink rail, I'm really for it.
Gets a little loud down there, doesn't it?
It's a little loud.
All right, well, it's going to be loud tonight, you know, if the Reds can get these final 6 outs.
Hope so.
All right, 3-0. We go to the 8th. Two-out single, and then base hits by Schebler to drive in a pair. Holt off the end of the bat drops one in front of the right fielder Santana. 3 runs scored, and that has stood so far thanks to starter Kivas Samson. Can't get the win, but he pitched well enough to get one. Shutout on the line. Last inning in the 7th, Selski cuts down BR, trying to score from second on a single by Jeanette. So 3-0 as we make our way with a number of changes for the Reds on defense into the top of the 8th inning. We begin on the mound, where Raisel Iglesias will take over from Michael Lorenzen. Lorenzen's just slightly off, it appeared, tonight. You know, fell behind every batter in the inning. Good numbers for this guy this year.
Well, to be honest, and the biggest play of this ball game was really the last play of the last inning, when the third base coach of the Brewers, AT CIN, decided to send the runner with 2 outs. It was Jonathan Villar on that base hit to right field, and that would have put 2 runners on base. and bring the tying run up to the plate with Ryan Braun. I'm still stunned that they would even try that. I mean, as it turned out, the throw was a very good one from Selski. Biara was out by a long shot. We just showed you that, and Braun comes in to face the first batter of the inning instead of coming up here representing the tying run.
Well, the changes for the Reds we talked about. New shortstop Ivan De Jesus Jr. moving from shortstop into center field is Jose Peraza. Where Schebler was in center. He started the game in right. There's a tapper down to third for the first out of the inning. And now Schebler must feel like he's walking in circles as he's back in right.
You'd probably rather walk in circles in the outfield than sit on the bench and dream about walking in circles.
Yes, that's right. One ball and 2 strikes on Hernan Perez. And Iglesias going to work. Liner into right field will hang up long enough for Schebler. That's one of the very few for either team hard hit balls tonight. That ball was struck well. One-0 delivery. Oh, is that a wicked hook? That thing had to move 4.5 feet.
And then followed up by 96.
Well, you know, on the replay there, it looked a lot tighter than it did when he threw it from where we're sitting while it happened.
Oh, man.
That's 97?
I mean, but the movement. I mean, he throws 1 3/4, 1 sidearm. You know, compared to most big league pitchers, Iglesias looks like a small, skinny guy, but he's not. I mean, he's a wiry athlete. And if you watch his delivery, he really gets a lot of leg work into his action to the plate. Look how much he uses his legs.
That one at 98 miles per hour and throws it right by Carter. Rysel, a 1-2-3 inning. Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Will come your way tomorrow night, game 2 of this series. Reds Live at 6:30. Milwaukee right-hander against Dan Straley. Well, here's a young man reaching the big leagues out of Cincinnati Mulder by way of Harvard. Brent Suter takes over on the mound, and they say he might be the single fastest worker on the mound in Major League Baseball.
He's already delivered 3 pitches.
Well, how nervous he must be right now in his hometown, pitching for the very first time at the big league level. Good for him. And you mentioned Mike Cameron, his high school coach, sitting right next to us in the booth next door. I mean, you know, he has to feel like if not a proud papa, he has to feel like an uncle or a granddad or something like that. I mean, he knew this young man when he was 14 years old and walked through the halls of Mulder High School for the first time.
And probably didn't anticipate seeing him in the major leagues. Because when we did talk to Mike Cameron today, he said, you know, when Brent Suter was a senior, he was about the 3rd best pitcher on the Mulder team. There's Mike.
Legendary head baseball coach at Mulder High for many, many, many years. Multiple state championships. And not too bad to say you were a coach of 2 players that won their respective league's most valuable player at one point in time during their careers. And they're also, by the way, Hall of Famers. How many high school coaches can say that? I'll bet you there aren't 3 in America. There might not be 2 that have coached a high school baseball team that can say they had 2 guys that won a league most valuable player award and 2 guys that are in the Baseball Hall of Fame. That guy can say it, Mike Cameron.
And this guy can say that he's in the major leagues.
That's right.
As a 33-round draft pick.
Takes care of Suarez on a 3-2 pitch to begin the inning. Now, you notice, Chris, he doesn't throw very hard, but I tell you what, you look at Suter's numbers as a starters in the minor leagues, and this young fella, he earned his way to the big leagues.
Well, that's what scouts will say about him, is that there's some late movement going on. It confuses the hitter. He works fast. He throws strikes. In fact, when he was a senior in high school, he was actually known more as a center fielder who hit in the upper part of the lineup than one of their best pitchers. Here's a matchup he's probably been dreaming about. And he's got Joey Votto 0-2. Or maybe the other way around.
Votto has not gone hitless in consecutive games since before the All-Star break. Mind-boggling. But he's 0 for 3 tonight.
Tell you one thing about working fast like Brent Suter. I'm wondering if he might get the edge when it comes to a marginal pitch from an umpire, because they like a fast worker.
And I wonder if this is a byproduct of the recent, installment of a pitch clock at the minor league level. This is a starting pitcher now, Suter, that he has been primarily, not exclusively, but primarily in his minor league career. Well, he got ahead 0-2. Now 3-2. And Votto will not go back-to-back games without a hit. Still since before the break. Incredible.
Now he worked them, Votto did. He took 3 pitches in off the plate after a 0-2 count, and Suter goes away with a slider, and Votto says, that's what you do with the slider. Now, Suter only made his major league debut just a little more than a month ago, August the 19th.
And picked off his Votto by Suter. That's the second out of the inning.
Well, Votto not stealing, but not paying attention either.
And that's all. Suter strikes out Duvall. Welcome home, Mr. Suter. And his family is so excited. Good for them. They should be. Brought to you by Kroger. Stop by your neighborhood Kroger to save big store-wide. Great food, low prices. Kroger. And by Toyota for over 30 offers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Fox Sports Ohio still has that offer waiting. Reds and the Pirates this Friday night. You can get a view-level ticket, a Los Rojos hat for this Friday's Fiesta Rojos for only $12. Go to Reds.com/FS Ohio right now. Use the code word FS Ohio. It goes on until the end of Reds Alive tonight. And Jim Day just now joined by Jeff Pecoro down in the Reds dugout. And Jim will make his way to the Fox Sports Ohio condominium if Rysel can close it out here tonight. 3 outs away with a 3-0 lead. Oh, an effort by Chris Welsh, and a good effort. Just out of your reach. Just out of your reach. Don't get upset about it.
Well, you know.
Come on.
I thought this was, I was going to get you another present for your birthday.
I appreciate it. See, that's just a little too far away.
You can touch it. You can catch it.
No, that's
but
not.
You might not be able to hit it. Boy, how about Iglesias?
That's his second strikeout. Reds pitchers, you go yesterday, you go today. They're now trying to make it 18 consecutive shutout innings. Swing and a miss by Kirk Neuenhuis, up as a pinch hitter. Iglesias throws that left leg in the air, delivers a fastball on the outside corner. Good movement. Took a little off his regular fastball there. And they'll give away pizza for everybody in the joint. 11 strikeouts by Reds pitchers here tonight. Number 3 for Rysel.
Boy, does he have some weapons. And look where he puts these pitches. Either right on the corner, or he comes right up and in and jams the pinch hitter and just throws it right by him.
Last time the Reds had back-to-back shutouts, you got to go back to the end of July 2015. One of those starts, they both came against the Cardinals, was turned in by Mike Leake. In fact, that was his final start as a Red before he was traded away to San Francisco. 1-1. Reds an out away. And this ought to do it. So the Reds take the opener. Back-to-back shutouts for the first time in over a year by Reds pitching. They did it to the Pirates yesterday. A 3-0 win. Combining on the shutout, Samson, Wood, Lorenzen, Iglesias, the final 2 innings of perfect baseball with 3 strikeouts. So the winner is Wood. The loser is Peralta, and Rysel the save. Back with more in a moment.